talk about the shit show that was last night in Kenosha. I think that's how you pronounce it, Wisconsin. A lot of people are confused about my stance on the whole situation, and the deal is I'm confused too. Things have been more cleared up at this point. Quick disclaimer, by the way, before I get a whole bunch of comments bashing the mask, it's for facial recognition, not for COVID. Okay, now we got that part out of the way. Don't bitch about the mask. I guess I'll talk about how I learned about it and what my instant standpoint was, so you can understand where I was coming from on the subject. I was tuned in because I was pretty sure shit was going to pop off soon, so I've been trying to monitor Kenosha for the past few days since they've been rioting, and I was on CJ's stream. CJ's actually from the same neck of the woods I am, so I've been following him since he was filming taking down the autonomous zone in Seattle. I like that guy. He's not afraid to get into the mix, so I tend to gravitate towards his feeds. Yeah, I was watching his last night when he heard the shots pop off and ran over to see the chaos. We didn't start getting those videos until later, but I had been following his feed, and what had happened at that point up till then was there was some sort of conflict that was going on at the gas station there with the militia and Boogaloo members who were there, and it was a conflict with the other protesters. And so I was getting a bit apprehensive about the whole situation anyway at that point. And I was worried that some of the guys in Hawaiian shirts were going to get in trouble. Like, it just smelled like something was brewing at that point, and I wasn't disappointed. To go back and watch CJ's live to, cut the piece of the shooting out. I tried to share it to YouTube, but it was like instantly pulled. So I shared, it was CJ's live, but I shared the piece of the video that has the shooting from him on Facebook last night. And there's details leaking out everywhere. And there was a lot of speculation, a lot of weirdness surrounding the situation. My first directive in that whole situation was finding out the Boogaloo's involvement in the situation. I'll be honest, it was damage control. I'm very used to how the media likes to paint the Boogaloo. And so first off, I wanted to get to the bottom of the truth of the matter, and sure as shit, I knew that they were going to blame the Boogaloo. First off, they weren't going to call it the Kenosha Guard. They were going to paint him right alongside the Hawaiians that were on scene. So that was what I knew was going to happen, and so that was my first order of operations, was getting to the bottom to find out, just find out the truth, who he was, why he was there, who he was with, what was said, this and that. And, we're still getting those details. So that's where I was at with that whole situation first. Oh dear God. Saying, oh, we're just listening to me talk. Okay, anyway, so that's where I was at with the whole situation. And a lot of it was speculation until we got, further video evidence and proof on the guy. Jay, you wanna hop on here so we can talk about this? And for those who didn't want to rewind, this is for facial recognition, not COVID. I don't buy the COVID narrative either, so please don't pin that one on me, please. Here, I'm gonna try and pull Jay up. Add. Oh well, maybe he'll be back. There's still a lot to talk about. Anyways, so yeah, and then details started pouring out, more video started coming to light, and my honest opinion of the situation is, yes, it does look justified. It looks like he was being attacked. He was being chased. There was a Molotov cocktail thrown. The guy in the red shirt was really trying to start shit with him just because he was there with a gun. Moments before this all happened, he had a guy hit him with a skateboard. And he handled them. So, do I feel like it was justified? Yes. After reviewing like all the evidence that's come out, it does seem justified. What I don't like was that he was so young. I mean, the kid is 17, and he was there with a gun, loaded, and I don't know, like, I would never put my kid in that situation. It's not that he wasn't prepared to handle the situation, because obviously he fucking did. It's more the mental maturity and handling a life or death situation like that, and the level of experience he had in that situation, and that's what I don't trust and I don't like, and it puts a bad taste in my mouth. And people have said kids will be kids, they're going to do what they want, you can't stop them even if you're their parent, but like, fuck, where were his parents? Like, they should have stepped in, because now he is facing murder charges, or a murder charge. Was it just one guy that got killed? I think the count's just up to 1 and 3 injured. But yeah, it's a really disgusting situation, and it's one of those that the media is going to use to spin some way or the other. I know there was an article that came out from Vice that was saying how he was an aspiring cop, and frankly, I was surprised. That was my first order of operations, and it's fucked up, because I've already lost one good friend over just this situation. Just because I guess people don't get my standpoint on the whole thing, and it's not any one side or the other. Yes, I do feel the need to try and defend and protect the Boogaloo, because I don't know how long you've been following me, but situations like this have happened over and over and over and over and over, where the Boogaloo gets painted as, this disgusting far-right militia that's just violent and out to kill people, and sure as shit, as soon as shots were fired and I saw a guy running with a rifle on us. And it did. Like, it wasn't more than an hour until I saw the first article come out, like, these Boogaloo extremists have started killing people. And so that's really where my first standpoint came from, was trying to trying to fight that because that's the first line. And they started kind of changing the tune once, we pointed out, like, no, that actually wasn't one of our guys. He was there with their Kenosha militia, and the members that were there of the Boogaloo had already left like 10 minutes before. So, but aside from that, now that I don't feel but more, it's just this weird, it's just this disgusting thing where I go back and forth with, was he justified? Yes. Yes, he was justified, but like his age and the fact that he was like there to begin with, and then there's a lot of other weird shit, like he was buddy with the cops in the videos, and like there was that militia member who was talking about the cops came up to them and they're like, hey, we're going to leave this section of the block alone because you guys got it on lock here. And the cops were saying this in earshot of the protesters that they were against. So when that cop said that, who was there in a position to where now they have like shifted the enemy onto the militia who was there on site. And so that is almost that's inciting. That's all the cops were doing. They weren't de-escalating that situation. They like abandoned it, walked away, and they were like, hey, you guys got this, all loud so the protesters could hear. And what's going to happen? Obviously conflict's going to happen, and I think that might be kind of at the root of this thing. Does that like halt the fact that he was justified in responding with violence? No, like it's one of those things where it's going to be like, if you pick this narrative, you're an asshole, and like people are gonna fight over it. It's obviously turning into this big shit storm right now. Oh yeah, try here. Let's see if we can get you to join. Add. It says Jay. It says no answer from video guest. Maybe I can try and pull you on here. Did that invite you to chat? What the fuck? Oh, okay, here. Hold on. Okay, wait. Okay, well, I invited you, Jay. And it won't let me respond to your invite, so I don't know what the fuck is going on. See if you can click my invite. Yeah. Like I don't know. He was justified in responding like he did. Was he a Boogaloo boy? No. He wasn't one of us. Vice actually got something. I didn't read that whole article, but he was an aspiring cop. Does that change the fact that he was justified in responding with deadly force? No. He got a Molotov cocktail thrown at him, and if you've ever at least half burned to death, that's not a fun way to go out. So, it's with all the video evidence present, even if he's facing a charge of murder, it's easily defensible as self-defense, because when people are throwing Molotov cocktails at you, you have a mob swarming against you. They're trying to beat you, and after shots were fired, that other guy pulled a gun. I mean, these are all situations where you can argue that you were in fear for your life, and you will win that in court every time. It's just crazy. It's crazy how the situation has just become polarized. Yeah. Oh, and the rubber gloves. I was questioning that because I was like, "What the fuck? Why the gloves? Why is it?" Was shooting people, and he's 17, so how did he get a gun anyway? And so I was thinking maybe he was wearing the gloves for fingerprint purposes, and that does look guilty as fuck at first, as far as premeditation. Like, if you're showing up wearing gloves and you don't want to get your fingerprints on a gun, it's almost as if you're planning to do something. But now it's coming out that he was operating as a sort of EMT, and I'm not sure how trained he was at 17 being an EMT, but at the protests, a lot of the medics, they're loose. Yeah, you could slap a Red Cross on yourself, call yourself a medic, and just carry around a water bottle to help people who got tear gassed in the face, and you're a medic all of a sudden. So, like, as far as prerequisites go, it could easily have been that he was operating as some sort of medic on the scene, and that's what we're hearing about the gloves. So that makes a little more sense as far as how everything played out. Maybe the whole glove thing and fingerprints was just me going off the deep end of the conspiracy, but I was very confused as to why he was wearing those gloves at first. And yeah, the parents, I was like, yeah, where the fuck were the parents? Like, they should know what he's getting involved in. He was from Illinois, so he had to travel for a while to get to Kenosha, and I feel like, maybe if his parents were more actively involved, this whole shit mess wouldn't have happened. Like, while I feel he was justified in retaliating, I'm not sure. Well, no, I am sure that he didn't have the mental cognitive function to be there in the first place, to be in the middle of a war zone. You can't argue that he was ready for something like that. You can't argue that he had the mental capacity to do something like that. If you're going to turn around and say, things to the nature of kids can't consent to sex until they're 18. Like, he was 17, and it's the same sort of thought process and cognitive function that applies to consent laws. So the fact that he was there, I don't like it. I don't like it one bit. And I don't feel like he had any place to be there in the first place. Just where I am on the matter. And another thing is, the Boogaloo Boys, for those of you who don't know, we don't condone child mercenaries either. So, yeah, not taking credit for that one. We agree with being trained and having the right tools for the job, and that includes mental function. And at that age, you don't locked and loaded and just expect him to handle it. Not something you're going to see those guys do. This kid was from a family of cops. Like, apparently his mom was she Chicago PD. So that part gets messy too. That's gross. Yeah, I heard the gun was from a friend of his. I don't think it was necessarily from his parents. Let's see. Yeah, and it was weird how the cops responded to him after, he was done shooting up the place. Like, I mean, it was obviously he knew them, but, they didn't, they weren't exactly forcing him to the ground or anything. Oh, he worked in Kenosha? That would be interesting. He does have a speeding ticket from Kenosha, so that's where that rap sheet came from. When that got exposed, I wasn't trying to dox the kid. It was more pointing out his age. That was an official document that labeled his age. I redacted his address and everything like that because, I don't want anything shitty like that happening to him. He was defending. That would be an interesting twist. Oh, I didn't know they were so close. Okay. I wonder if his parents even knew he was there. Just what a mess. And people are getting so mad about it. Like, you don't have to pick one narrative or the other. I'm more prone to, like, I just want to know the truth behind the situation and what really happened. And yeah, I wanted to look at it from a damage control standpoint at first, when, I was this is crazy. It's just like, yeah, and I already lost one good friend because I was up all night until like 5 o'clock in the morning, trying to figure out the truth behind this situation, and I guess I didn't explain what the Boogaloo stood for in time for him. I don't know. Blocked me randomly. Just like shit. Like, you don't have to pick a team when it comes to figuring out the truth behind something. That actually doesn't help the matter at all because you show up with your own biases and, you might disregard variables because you don't want it to be true. It's just how these things work, and it's how things get so fucking polar. The media was trying to say that he was a boog boy, and that's exactly why I came out of the gate like I did. Immediately after the shooting, I was like, oh, well, fuck, here we go again. But it does seem like they've backed off that a little bit, hopefully. Of course, not all media outlets are going to back off from the, like, he was a Boogaloo boy thing, even though it's obviously he was not. That's still going to be something we have to deal with, and that's why the truth is so important. When we don't discover the truth, we don't show the hard evidence. Every time we have walked away from situations we know are just going to bite us in the ass. twisting it and portraying it in a light that is unfavorable to the Boogaloo Boys. Every time. And it doesn't matter what the truth is, they will fabricate the truth every single time to fit their narrative. It's just what they do. And so, yeah, that's instantly why I went on damage control and started looking for his affiliations and, like, if he was at that gas station altercation moments before, and, you know, I had him pegged for a different guy who was at the gas station who was dressed kind of similarly but was in a black hat, because he was clustered next to the Hawaiian church, and I was like, well, fuck, here we go. Completely different guy. Does it matter that much? Yeah, because we have been facing a lot of lies, like, you know, what happened in Austin. Snipers that were on their way to shoot up the place, like, just a lot of bullshit. And you know, it's one of those things you just accept as a fact of life is going to happen. And so, like, a lot of times you have to act like premeditatively to get the truth out there before a slanted biased story comes out that you know is going to hit, which started last night, and it's continuing today. Oh, well, I guess that's about all I have to say about it. It's like, because I don't necessarily follow, like, a fit narrative for anything. Like, I don't like to hop on bandwagons. A lot of, like, especially like last night, moments after the situation, a lot of what I was saying was speculative. Just questioning why. Like, why this? Why that? Why? Because what I've learned the internet is good at is answering those why questions. And, you know, during the night that's happened, and people have unveiled more videos and more information, and, you know, we know a lot more about the situation now. But yeah, so don't, here's the other thing, don't hang on every, it's exactly what I believe, like, especially when I include why questions, or I just, like, throw out speculative things, and I'll flat out tell you they're speculative often. I'm just throwing ideas out there, and I'm hoping that other people, like, pick it up and, like, throw out their own ideas, and then the truth comes out. It's really how you get to the bottom of the truth. But please don't hang on every little thing that I speculate about as like what I believe is the truth, and I'm just set in that, because that's not really how I do things. And yeah, I'm sure we're going to find out a lot more about this situation, and probably even what his parents were up to that night, or if they knew. He's getting charged with murder, so there's going to be a whole case around it. If the case isn't completely dismissed, he'll have to argue it down to self-defense in court. So this is probably going to be a whole thing. It's going to be interesting to see what new information comes out. Yeah, and I heard, here's the other thing. I heard that he went to, now I haven't verified this, but I heard he went to turn himself in to the Kenosha PD, and they wouldn't accept him. And I believe at that point he went home, and then he got picked up there and charged with fleeing state lines. So that would be interesting. That charge would easily be dropped, though, if it can be proven that he was he tried to turn himself in, and the cops turned him away. So that was an interesting little tidbit, and I'm sure we're going to find out a lot more. Just craziness. My advice, just hold off from complete judgments, condemnation, accusations, until we get the full truth. And I feel like it's really coming out now, and it'll continue coming out today and the next few days, and if this trial proceeds and all that. But just keep an open mind about the matter. Pour over the evidence, the video evidence that has been any one narrative, control what you think about the situation. Find out the truth for yourself, and don't let yourself get caught in he was a wannabe cop, so he's obviously a piece of shit. Put that sort of shit aside, because it's gonna get us laughed at and mocked. Yeah, I don't like all cops. Sometimes I talk to sheriffs and get along with them. Not so much with police departments and all that. I'm not the biggest fan of cops. But that's not going to stop me from saying, well, he was justified. Just because the kid wanted to be a cop. I do feel like he was justified. It's just very polarizing, and it's like if you've affixed yourself to these various narratives, you're prone to thinking with tunnel vision about it either way, and it's really not the most constructive way to get to the bottom of it. Yeah, murder one. No, he walks. This kid's gonna walk. I don't know how much proof you guys have seen, the video evidence, but what it looks like is in every single aspect of him firing his weapon, he was attacked first. So it's how it sounded at first was like this was some killing spree, and dude just went around shooting everyone. And that's even what CJ said in his live videos, oh my, I was just going around shooting everyone. And that wasn't quite accurate. Every single time he shot someone, they were approaching him with what he felt like was deadly force. And what happens is when you bring that to court, you walk away case dismissed on, or they rule it justified in self-defense. That's just what's probably going to happen to him. But the media is going to try and do a whole smear campaign against him to make sure that doesn't happen. That's what this whole 2020 situation has come down to is, if the media can get in people's ears, and it's really gross because you're supposed to have an impartial jury, but fuck, I don't even feel like that exists anymore, because Fred, you can't get an impartial jury, and I feel like to a certain point the media knows that, and they use it in situations like this. If they can cause enough outrage and just paint this guy as some sort of violent extremist to get charges to stick on him, they're going to do that. They don't care that he was 17 years old. They don't care about his actual affiliations with the guard there, not the Boogaloo. They're going to do whatever fills their narrative, whatever they've already decided is their narrative. The media of today doesn't retract their statements. They're foolish as shit, and they don't make any sense, or they're just outright lies. So, it's gonna going to be an interesting shit show to watch this one. I don't know if he was put in custody last night. All I've heard was he tried to turn himself into Kenosha PD. Sounds like they told him to go home. He went home and he got busted for crossing state lines after shooting people. So that is a whole interesting shit show that I would like to know more about. Even if it's true. I don't know if it's true. I haven't seen the source behind that, so it wouldn't surprise me though if that one was true. Yeah, people are going to be pissed. It's people's outrage, or it's just in response to a situation like this. But like certain people from the BLM and Antifa were coming out and calling open season on the Boogaloo Boys over this one. You see, that's why I was in damage control mode immediately after this happened, because all these different groups, the media, certain aspects of the BLM and Antifa, the Democratic Party, all that shit, they're going to take this situation and try and use it against what they perceive as their enemies. And we're obviously one of those enemies at this point. So just disgusting, but I'm glad the truth is coming out. The truth, the whole of American society as it normally doesn't. He's probably going to get painted as one of the redacted tribe. It's just how it is. But like all we can really do, and I'm just so used to that sort of slander. All we can do is expose the truth and make sure, like, at least the Liberty Tribe knows that, the Boog didn't have any involvement, regardless of whether it was justified or not. I just felt like we don't need any more negative bullshit like that happening. It's every week something else, and it's always lies, so... Yeah, I kind of feel bad for him too at this point. If he does walk, fucking his name's already out there. His life's been ruined. Yeah, and I want to reiterate, I wasn't the one who doxed him. Like his name was already out there when I shared his rap sheet. I shared his rap sheet to point out his age, because I really feel like he had no place in being there. And I get that he might have been protecting the business he worked at and all that, but kids can't consent. He was a kid. You can't... Consent is a slippery slope, and you can't say, oh, he can consent to making the decision to murder someone, and then you have to lump things in like, oh, it's fine for him to be sexually active. I mean, consent works as across the board as one rule. And so when you start saying, oh, well, it was just perfectly fine for him to do that, and he was he was mentally mature enough to make those decisions. To a point, yes, he was obviously mature enough to defend himself. Was he mentally, cognitively mature enough to be there in the first place, to be experiencing those emotions and the outrage involved, and make those life or death decisions? I don't think so. I know so. Like, he shouldn't have been there in the first place. I went to the protests, and it's, for those of you who haven't been to one, it's a completely different atmosphere. There's a hype involved. There's an energy that's constantly building, and you can feel the chaos around you. And even as an adult, I'm 35, and that was hard for me to handle. It's a constant barrage of just this escalating energy at all times. And the LRAD, or the sonic sirens, as we called them in Denver, those are a means to agitate and irritate the crowd. They don't calm people down. They don't even dissuade people. They just piss people off. It's like these cops are trying to shoot out these frequencies that just enrage the crowd into a riot. I don't even understand why they're used, because they don't work that well. I mean, it's not like, oh, it's crippling and I'm throwing up because of this LRAD siren in my ear. No, it's just fucking pissing you off. That's all it's doing. And it's hyping the crowd up. They're getting angry. They want to take it out on the police. The police are obviously well protected, and so they start turning on each other. It's just like this pack mentality. It's just like a fucking dog pack. It's the same shit, Like, I don't know if you've ever seen a dog pack. Like, you might have this pack of dogs, and there's a fence separating those dogs from another dog on the other side of the fence who's being aggressive. And you see those dogs wanting to get at that dog that's on the other side of the fence, and they're all snarling and yipping. And then all of a sudden, the pack that's on this side of the fence is all snapping and biting at each other, and they're in a dog fight. And the original, dog that started the mess on the other side of the fence, they walk away, and these dogs are getting fucked up. And it's the same sort of pack mentality when you're dealing with a riot situation. And you can't convince me that he was old enough to handle all of those barrage and violence and everything else. He shouldn't have been there in the first place. But the fact is, he was, and he did respond accordingly. And even if he walks, which I feel like in any good court of law, he will walk, but he's going to be dealing with this for the rest of his life. His life might be ruined over it, and that is a damn shame, because he was just too fucking young to be there in the first place. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, he was trained to shoot and respond with deadly force. But, maybe if this kid was a little bit older when he attended, he would have, mastered tactics instead of just responding with deadly force. That's the problem, is it's the level of mental maturity that you have at 17. And these younger generations today are even less mature than Generation X was at their age. So it becomes this thing where it's like, well, how mature is a 17-year-old to respond accordingly to this situation? And I don't think there's any way in there, even how he responded and how justified it is being found to be. You cannot convince me that he should have been there. He just shouldn't have been there. And I really don't think there's anything that's going to convince me different that he absolutely should have been there. And the other guard members should have, at least, I don't know, how to talk with him and been like, hey, this this shit is getting ugly, and you are 17, and maybe you shouldn't be here right now. But it doesn't look like they did that. Maybe they wouldn't have been able to talk him out of it. I don't know. I don't pretend to know all the details. But I mean, every single time he was attacked, he responded, and it doesn't look like he was firing indiscriminately into the crowd. He wasn't attacking people that weren't attacking him. And so, yeah, in any court of law, he walks, and that might cause a whole nother shitstorm for him, his family, the protests in Kenosha, and it might even come out of definitely the militia's ass that's there, but you know, I can easily see this still coming out of the Boogaloo Boys' ass too. Like I said, the media isn't exactly fair with their coverage of you know, what the Boogaloo is, so fully expect that one coming. I guess that's about all I have to say. You know, kind of on the fence about the subject, not there's just so many different variables involved. Yeah, I guess we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens the rest of today and where the case goes and what new details come out. But reserve until like we have all the variables. Like, I feel more comfortable with the information that's coming out today and came out early this morning, but you know, don't believe any set narrative that's being formed for him or against him. Just try and be as impartial as possible, and you know, look at this without the rose-colored glasses, and just look at it for what it is. We got a kid who responded with deadly force, who probably shouldn't have been there, and it looks like it was completely justified. Fuck. Alright, that's about all I had to say. I'm gonna go. Enjoy your day.